Uncontrollable anger is like a storm surging within, where rational thought is submerged by a flood of raw emotion, clawing its way out, desperate to be released upon the world. Your heart pounds like a drum, echoing in your ears, pulsing in your head, down to your fingertips. Your fist and jaw are clenched. Your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, as if you're preparing for a fight. Your thoughts are racing, fixating on that perceived threat. You are letting the anger consume you, overwhelmed with emotion and submitting to this primal fear. Now stop! So, in moments like this, it's extremely important for you to recognize your emotions. Physical manifestations such as increased heart rate, clenched fists, and rapid breathing are all common cues for recognizing your anger. It is our responsibility to control our emotions, not someone else's. We are not correcting their behavior, we're correcting our response. It is our responsibility. I'm John, and this is Camo Convo. In this episode, we're going to dive into anger as it is related to PTSD. Alright guys, so when you have PTSD and anger is an issue, there are physical manifestations in your body that happen. As we discussed earlier, you hear drums in your ears, and that's your blood pressure getting so high that you're hearing it. Your fists will just naturally start to clench just because there's so much tension in your bodies. Your toes curl. And PTSD enhances those emotions so much more. And so you've got to stop, truly, and listen to yourself. Talk to yourself. Because if you don't handle that, those physical manifestations will get worse and one day result in violence or something worse. Whether you believe it or not, PTSD changes your brain functionality. Essentially, I mean, come on guys, our brains are fucked. All right, I want to talk about some personal anger issues, right? So here's the common ones that everyone has. You've got family, i.e. kids, spouse, parents, in-laws. Then you've got, with PTSD on top of that, each one of those issues that come within those subcategories are huge. We turn molehills into mountains, and that's something that we all need to work on. And anger definitely fucks with you there. Some extreme cases of anger. Scenario where I used to work. I was working at a service desk, and been a busy day, been dealing with 15, 20 live customers at any one given time, and a customer came in who wanted to get in on my schedule without an appointment. Informed him, I'm sorry sir, I cannot get you in right now. And he repeatedly started to yell and ask me if I knew who he was, and at like the fifth time he said that, I snapped. Slammed my hands down on the counter and yelled at the top of my lungs to the whole shop. I'm sure customers in the waiting room could hear me, but I asked, does anyone know who the fuck this is, at the top of my lungs, right? That old man got scared, stepped back, and my boss stepped in, and someone else took the customer away. My boss took me away. That's one extreme, how anger can affect you at work. PTSD can affect you at work. You can often lose your shit on everyday people, and they don't understand it. They don't get it. But it's not an excuse. So that's one scenario of anger. Another one where anger takes an effect on your family. There was this is before my dad had his stroke, mind you. He and I got in an argument, and we were at my house. I was probably 26, 27 at the time, and not fully sure what the hell was going on in my head, right? And he came over to the house, and he just wanted to visit his grandkids, have a good weekend. And he and I got in a little nitpick fight. Couldn't even tell you what it was about. But I know the end result was me snapping and, seeing red. Not your proverbial red, like literally seeing red. Pushing him down on the couch, and I'll never forget the look on his face. It looked like like a little kid that was about to get beat. And I had my arm reared back to punch him. And I had to let him go and walk to my room. And that's the first time I've sat down and really analyzed something and kind of lost it, and yeah, spent the rest of my weekend in there and ruined it for everybody. My worst habit, guys, and it's something I'm still working on, is it doesn't take a lot to push my buttons. Our fuses, some of us are that short, some of us work on it, some of us choose not to. My tongue can go out of control towards the people closest to me. It's affected friendships. It's affected my relationship with my wife. I'm pretty decent with my younger kids, right? But I recognize my teenagers aren't grown men, and they need me there to be an example. And I haven't been here for 8 years, 9 years, right? So yeah, control your shit. Your family fucking deserves better. Your friends deserve better. Your workplace deserves better. And I don't know. I'm just saying, control your freaking anger. It's hard. It's hard. That breathing technique we went over earlier, that works. A good friend taught me that, and who's also a veteran. It's part of this reason, you got to connect. You got to have a tribe. If you don't have anyone, if you don't really know what the fuck's going on, and you stumble across this channel, drop us a line. We'll help you out. I want to talk about coping mechanisms. When you have to cope with something, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're literally taking the time to fix something that you recognize is broken, right? So, to me, coping and the things I do to cope is almost like medicine. And I'm finding out it's better than the chemicals that they want to give you. For me, it's personally lifting, right? I'm not a freaking specimen. It's just about letting out physical aggression. And for me, that's pulling and pushing something heavy. Had another good veteran buddy who had been trying to tell me this for 10 years. I told him there was nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with me. Finally started doing it. I'm like, holy shit, the guy's a wizard, right? But no, it's common. Physical activity does it for me. And it just, tire your body out, you tire your mind out. It's easier to go to sleep. It's that simple. Talking is another good coping mechanism for me. I don't like groups, which is weird that I'm putting this out. I'm weirded by it all, but it's okay. People need to hear this, right? Talking one-on-one with a buddy, that's great. Your spouse, that's great. But to me, the best has been therapy. Going to the VA. They do have some good resources. They've got their doctors. For Central Illinois, I feel like I have two of the best doctors I could have ever asked for. Talking to them is good, and I'm on a weekly basis. Don't be embarrassed by it. Don't have a stigma. Because let's not lie, there is a stigma still. 2024, blah blah blah. There's still a stigma. Fuck them. Go fix your brain. Fuck what Uncle Ronnie says from Vietnam. Go fix your brain. There's a lot of Vietnam guys that go and get their shit fixed too. I'm sorry. So kind of hit on this a little bit already, but you need professional help. If you have stumbled upon this because you're lost, or you don't know what's going on, or if you're a young guy just getting out and you're feeling some emotions, hopefully you stumble on this. If you're our age of veteran, post 9/11, hopefully you do recognize what's going on if you do have PTSD. And if you're not, there's a lot of you out there that aren't. Go get help, please. There's too many of us dying every day for no reason. There's plenty of resources. Um, Schedule an appointment with your VA doctor. I mean it. So I'm not an expert. I'm just a dude who's got some fucking problems that wants to share his experiences so other dudes can go get their shit fixed. Dudes and girls. That's it. Take care of yourselves. This was our first episode. Obviously, anger. Not 100% sure yet, but I think our next one is either going to be on anxiety or depression. So that's enough of the negative shit. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Say whatever you want in the comments. But if you got a question, you can leave it there. If you don't want to leave it in a public venue, I've got an email set up. Email us at camoconvo@gmail.com. Be more than happy to talk to you that way as well. And so the second part of this episode is going to be like a free-form conversation between me and a good friend. He's the other half of this whole production. So this dude goes by many names. We got BT. We got Brizzy. We got Brian Thomas. I'm pretty excited for this, even though he was a military police officer. That's okay, though. So check it out. Stick it out with us. This channel's going to grow, and we're just going to help people out. All big things start small. Except my wiener. All right, so now we're just going to sit down and just have a conversation. Kind of went over some, I don't want to say I taught you anything. Just recapping the episode. Obviously mental health, that's important. If you're recognizing anything we're talking about and you haven't been diagnosed, go get yourself checked out, get diagnosed, start getting yourself fixed. The VA is a good resource, right? And so Bryant now is going to perform fellatio on the world with his verbal skills. So now we're going to sit down and talk to Bryant. And Bryant is the other half of this op. He runs all the technical stuff for us. He's actually a student learning this stuff, to do it professionally. I've always kind of had this idea, and we kind of linked up, started hanging out again, and I was like, oh shit, we're kind of the same kind of nerd, dude. Only you have all the cool shit. So now we're doing it. Learning some basic editing skills and some Photoshop from him. And it's actually going a little past basic at this point. I got a free freaking crash course. I guess, we talked about coping mechanisms in medicine. So drugs have a stigma, obviously. But, to me, marijuana can be it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. There's times where you use it right, you don't abuse it, and it works. And there's times where I'm more guilty of this than not, where I do abuse the fuck out of it, where I use it all the time, and I feel like I can't function unless I'm fucking high. And those periods of life suck. But
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
100%. When I'm working from home, I will smoke all day long, and it's bad. The last 6 months, working in the office, that was actually probably the best thing for me was not smoking during the day at all, not until night.
To where it's enjoyable again, and it actually relaxes you.
And my mind is more active. Your mind kind of goes numb, which I understand is why we do that. Why we start binging on it like that is because we do go numb, and that's when we kind of we're maybe going through a really hard time then, or really extra stress or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
But trying to be creative, trying to make content, do that shit when your mind's numb, it's hard. No motivation to do it. No ideas are flowing. I mean, none of that shit.
No, you're literally blocked creatively, emotionally,
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah.
blocked. Just shut off.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're just using it occasionally, every night, like
Yeah.
whatever, I feel like it helps me creatively that way if I'm not using it all the time.
Well, there's no doubt that, I mean, weed fosters creativity.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say there's fucking science behind it, but there's science behind it.
Yeah.
You know, shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being physical is my biggest thing, dude.
Yeah.
As far as, because just if I get myself tired physically, my brain's natural response is to just, I don't know, dump a bunch of melatonin and make me go to sleep. All right, so we hung, I don't know, 25 sound panels up on the board or up on the walls, and they come with these 3M sticky tabs. And he's like, "Oh, these cheap things." I'm like, "Oh no, it'll work, dude." The sticky pads fucking work. They're all over the walls, but we have 2 sound panels left. How do you cope when you get really pissed?
Um, I breathe, man. I
Yeah.
got real big into the breathing a couple years ago. I started with, we've talked about this a little bit
Mm-hmm.
before, but the Wim Hof method,
Yep.
the fucking Iceman or whatever he goes by, the whole, basically he's the one that started the
Right.
cold exposure craze that everybody's into.
All right.
And there's some real evidence behind, there's some real evidence that supports what he's doing. His method works. It has positive effects on the body.
Well, you've done it multiple times.
Yeah,
You've immersed yourself in that cold bath a lot.
Yeah. And you've seen me do it for a long period of time too.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to. It's like training or conditioning. It's one of those things that if you don't do it for a long period of time, your tolerance to do that regresses, and you can't do it as long, or you need to kind of wean yourself back into
Mhm.
it. Which is kind of where I'm at. I haven't really
Sure.
done it in a while, but now that it's freezing fucking cold here, why not? Why not document the torture?
Yeah, I mean, and I can't even remember how long a minute 30, a
Yeah,
minute 30, if
yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, something definitely happens when you are in that, and then when you get out, especially, you're just, I don't know, it feels like you can breathe better, and you can just, your eyes are wider. I feel like everything's brighter,
sharp. Everything is
sharp.
really sharp,
Yeah,
saturated, and vibrant.
yeah. It definitely does something to you, and it does feel good, but it fucking sucks.
And doing it long term, like just doing cold showers. You get so used to it that it doesn't feel. I mean, it's cold and it's uncomfortable. That's kind of the point of it. That is the point.
That is the point.
That's the point. But the breathing technique that got me into, and it's like an exercise in itself. It's inhales and exhales and holding your breath for long periods of time, fully exhaled out of your lungs.
Yeah.
So no air in your lungs while holding your breath, and you get up to where you can hold your breath for a couple minutes at a time with literally no air in your lungs at all. It doesn't take long to get there, but just breathing in general, deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, hold your breath, fully exhale in any kind of pattern can help you when you're feeling angry. I mean, I do feel angry. I get agitated, especially when I'm working on shit.
Sure.
My wife or my son, try to bother me. I have the headphones on. They clearly know I can't hear them, but they're standing. Just shit like that.
Yeah.
Of course that aggravates me, and it shouldn't. But I'm able to. I'm recognizing that. All right, I'm fucking pissed. I can feel that my heart rate's elevated. I don't need to be stressed like this. And so I breathe. And I'm just do that a couple times. Even if they're standing right there, they know.
Yeah.
They get it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've been through it before with me.
Absolutely. Yeah. This isn't new to our families.
So yeah, stuff like that. Breathing's a big thing, and just going and doing things that are uncomfortable, putting yourself out there, willing to accept criticism from people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, feel like they have a voice. Being able to deal with stuff like that, it does sharpen your mind a little bit. I know a lot of people talk about the whole mind sharpening through physical fitness and stuff, but there's other ways to do it.
There is, man.
There's totally other ways to do it. If you can't dedicate that kind of time to it.
Well, it's like you just said it, taking criticism and shit. That's been my biggest that's my biggest fear about doing this, dude. guess I'm kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Maybe a little full of myself sometimes to think that people are going to give a shit as much as I think they're going to give.
Yeah.
Which, 9 times out of 10, no one gives a fuck because we've all got our own shit we're worried about. But doing a video or a podcast or whatever, a channel, always seemed like a cool idea, but it always freaked the fuck out of me. Yeah. But, here we are. We're doing it.
It's hard for a lot of people to accept that you can make a living doing stuff like this. And I think a lot of people underestimate the kind of hard work that actually goes into it, though, to be able to be on that level.
So this has been, we both work full-time jobs.
Yeah.
We both have families with children that have shit to do outside of, just like any other family does, extracurricular activities. We've got our spouses. We've got full schedules. But then I thought this would be, okay, it's kind of simple. Well, this has been coming home from work. You've been coming home from work. I've been coming home from work. And we're putting 4 or 5 hours a night into this, into just the script. Not even a script, just an outline of how we'd like to shoot, right? Mm-hmm. That was kind of fun, though. That was a creative process.
Yeah.
Especially with, being able to collaborate on stuff now online. That was cool, leaving notes and then, editing this or changing this or, that was fun. But work. It was legit work.
Yep. It fucking is. It's a lot of hard work, but it's also therapy. I mean, that's why I got into it in the first place, was extremely anxious, had no real outlet, and I just kind of, I had the Adobe Creative Cloud thing where I had all the apps. And so I was just kind of messing around with the apps anyways, and I just, was getting like stock footage online or stuff I got on my phone and putting it into Premiere Pro, and just, it was almost like that, when you play a really good video game or something, like fucking WoW, you know?
You get sucked
in.
in.
You just grind the shit out of it. Well, I had that same effect with video editing, and that turned into like, well, if I can fully focus on something, that's therapy. It allows me not to think about
the bullshit,
everything else that's going on in my life.
Yep.
And so it was like a hobby, and it chilled me out, and that turned into like, well, if I really work at this, man, I can make a living out of it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like I said, you're trying to do this professionally, which is dope.
Yeah.
And
well, this what we're doing is professional. I mean, look around.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at the fucking room.
It's dope. Like we're doing it professionally, and it blows me away still that it's still going down like this, and we've talked about this before, when you think about something and it's just a thought, it's just a thought, but then you continually think on it and that seed grows, and then it just, I guess it's not shocking. You work on something and it grows, you hear the word, everyone talks about manifest. Well, manifesting is true, and it's not like this new giant thing. It's just fucking do the work and you're going to get results.
Yeah.
Ding, you manifested it. So we're manifesting this, right? We're making it happen.
My big thing is self-doubt. Fuck, dude. Imposter syndrome.
Oh my God.
You know what that is? It's like, you get that. You don't have it all the time. You get it when you level up, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the bottom of the next level.
Yeah.
Just like in a fucking video game.
That's it, dude. You're right. I never thought of it that
like
way.
You're always, me especially, like, am I even good enough? Am I legit enough? Am I, does my stuff look good enough? Whatever it is to even be on the next level. Like,
believe me, I know.
I'm always like, no, I sure don't. And that's why a lot of shit that I do, that I work on, never even gets put out. It just,
because you're doubting yourself.
It's just for me.
Yeah.
And maybe not wanting to accept criticism as well.
Dude, that's my thing too. Like, man, there's definitely, it's a numbers game. There's going to be negative shit that gets said, and I'm like, I hope I can take that well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to.
Hey, we get to practice our breathing.
We get to that's the thing, dude. We get to fucking this is going to be a good this is a good exercise for us.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, I'm excited to see where this is all going to go, dude. It's a it's an experiment. And we'll see.
I'm pumped, dude. I don't like that fucking light, though.
I'm looking at all the squares. I'm gonna have to peel off the wall.
That's fucking ridiculous. let's give a quick shot. And I'm about to buy a new phone.